Mrs. William Sachs Epps on their retirement from stewardship at the historic Second Baptist Church. Dr. Epps has faithfully served Second Baptist as its senior pastor for 37 years. What a legacy of love and leadership. Pastor and Mrs. Epps will be honored at a luncheon on Saturday, July 26, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Sheraton Universal Hotel in Universal City, and you're invited to attend. Noted scholar Dr. Michael Eric Dyson is the keynote speaker. For ticket information, please contact epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. That's epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. To Pastor Epps and First Lady Epps, congratulations from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
Protesting anthems, yes, we chanting. A movement of people, it's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the poor where the prisons is. I was told good life is where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify with you and God in time my best align.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and White House correspondent in LA. In afternoon drive time, it's the best time to be with all y'all. Thank you so much for tapping into another episode of A More Perfect Union. I'm in touch until you be in touch. Follow me on all the socials at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. All you got to do is type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ, and there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. That way you'll never miss an episode. That's right, A More Perfect Union, powered by KBLA Talk 1580, the only Black-owned and operated talk station west of the Mississippi. That's right. Now it's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Kicking us off, Trump to pardon reality TV stars Julie and Todd Chrisley. That's right. The White House said today that Donald Trump plans to pardon reality TV stars Julie and Todd Chrisley, the couple famously known for Chrisley Knows Best, which followed their tightly knit family and extravagant lifestyle. You might remember that a jury back in 2022 found them guilty of conspiring to defraud community banks out of more than $30 million in fraudulent loans. The Chrisleys are also found guilty of tax evasion. In a social media post today, the White House said that the U.S. president called the Chrisley family and said he'll be granting them a full pardon, adding Trump knows best. The Chrisleys, again, were found guilty of tax evasion by hiding their earnings while showcasing an extravagant lifestyle that prosecutors said included luxury cars, designer clothes, and real estate and travel. Prosecutors said that Todd Chrisley filed for bankruptcy, walking away from more than $20 million in unpaid loans. But the president said, I got you. Full pardon. There you have it. I mean, are you surprised? Reality TV president, he's checking for his people, reality TV people. Are we surprised by that? I'm not surprised by that. Moving along, some folks may be surprised that Trump's mass federal cuts are disrupting the LA wildfire recovery. It's coming tumbling down. That's what they're saying. Now, look, I've been talking about this for a minute. Andy, haven't I been talking about this? I've been talking about this. We've been talking about this. That, hey, now hopefully LA elected officials have been paying attention, because there is going to come a time where we're not going to be able to rely on FEMA the way we have before. And what are we going to do? Don't wait till the worst case scenario happens. Open your eyes and plan ahead. The Guardian is reporting that on April 3rd, they're reporting that more than 400 AmeriCorps staff and volunteers, they were deployed in the aftermath of the January mega fires that destroyed thousands of homes and businesses and killed 30 people. They helped 26,000 households affected by the fires. They packed 21,000 food boxes, but in April, the agency placed about 90% of its staff on immediate leave. 90% of AmeriCorps staff, immediate leave. The cuts were among the harshest doled out by Donald Trump and Elon Musk's so-called Department of Government Efficiency, otherwise known as DOGE. And a flurry of lawsuits are challenging Trump's administration cuts to various federal departments, including 2 lawsuits by the state of California and Democracy Forward over the gutting of AmeriCorps. So that's AmeriCorps. What about the Small Business Administration? Funny you ask. Well, after the fires, the Small Business Administration, they contributed $2 billion to disaster loans, the largest source of federal disaster recovery for homeowners and renters and businesses and nonprofits. Well, guess what? In March, the Trump administration announced cuts to 43% of the agency workforce. And so we have cuts to AmeriCorps. Now we have cuts to the Small Business Administration. But we're not finished. Let's keep going. Did you hear they're canceling FEMA's disaster aid? Yeah. To help the city recover, you might remember that FEMA approved more than $200 million in relief funds for eligible wildfire survivors. And they helped fund transitional hotels and shelters. You yourself may have benefited from that. Well, the agency also deployed 70 staff to help survivors apply for aid. The White House said in a statement that FEMA deployed hundreds of staff to Los Angeles and provided shelter for more than 2,800 households. Well, the agency delivered crucial aid to LA, but now it's facing possible extinction. Trump has threatened to get rid of FEMA, and on May 9th, he fired its leader, Cameron Hamilton, one day after Hamilton publicly disagreed. He publicly disagreed with dismantling the agency. The administration has fired now hundreds of FEMA employees and offered deferred resignations. FEMA is ending its door-to-door canvassing in disaster areas and canceling the $750 million set to be allocated this year through the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities Grants Program. And in case you're wondering, that program, it funds local projects to protect against disasters, including, that's right, you guessed it, wildfires. Brad Sherman, the U.S. congressman who represents the fire-stricken neighborhood of the Palisades right here in Los Angeles, he said that Trump had, quotes, demoralized federal workers when the president suggested getting rid of FEMA while visiting LA in January. He said, quotes, I talked to FEMA people and they were, of course, upset. They're professionals. They did their job, but it's hard under those circumstances. That's what's happening. And today we're talking about LA wildfire victims, LA wildfire survivors, but we're all on deck. At some point, we may very well need FEMA to kick in to support our families, near and far. And at this rate, there ain't gonna be nobody around to support. You know, the taxes that we pay, this money don't belong to Republicans or Democrats. This is our taxpayer dollars. We pay into this. Just thought you should know. When we come forward, we're going to switch gears. I'm really looking forward to welcoming my next guest, Star Amirasu. She's a dynamic artist whose talents shine as a writer, as a composer, as a director. And we're going to be talking about some of the work that she's doing this Pride season and beyond. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God.
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say.
Let's do this.
Let's get it on.
On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, talk about.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DePrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
Love you. Love you.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for. For this free information, call 800-433-8909. 800-433-8909. That's 800-433-8909. Or simply visit godra.com.
We have no permanent friends or permanent enemies. Only permanent interests. As we effort to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and really delighted to welcome Miss Star to the show. Star Amirasu. She's an international multidisciplinary Black trans artist. And just as we're entering into Pride season. I couldn't think of a better person to have on to kick us off than Miss Star. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
You know what? I'm vibing. Today is a good day. I got my pink mic. I got my pink headphones. I'm feeling good.
Well, I'm glad you got your pink mic. I don't have my pink mic. But
yes, we got to get you one, honey.
All right. And so, listen, it's Pride season. Just this past weekend, we kicked off the season with DC Black Pride.
Okay, period.
I don't know if you had a chance to participate in the facility, in the festivities, rather. But talk to us about how you're reflecting on this Pride season as we were just getting started.
You know what? Pride, I feel like I live and breathe pride 24/7 because I am proud of being Black, I'm proud of being trans, and I am proud of being part of the LGBT community. But it's funny, I feel like this year has already kind of pre-started. It's been such a rough start with the politics around queer community and how the government is coming for all aspects of our lives, that I'm feeling very much this year's it's a riot. We're going back to the original meaning of pride in my home.
And let's talk about that. I mean, for our leaders, learners, and listeners that are a little less steeped in the history of the fight for LGBTQ rights, that are a little less steeped in the history of Pride, what do you mean when you talk about sort of going back to the basics, going back to sort of the grassroots activism of Pride?
Well, there is a big conversation around fighting back against police brutality, which our community has known, the Black community. And I think in the 70s, there was an event that happened at Stonewall, actually in the 60s, the late 60s, 1969, happened at Stonewall. And in Stonewall, these women, trans women, drag queens, and gay men were at a bar, and it was attacked by the police, and they fought back. And that was the first time that our community, the LGBT community, had fought back against this brutality of them coming and busting up the clubs and dragging people to jail. And so I think we are living in a time that feels similar to that in my mind, where there is this push to legislate against the community, and we have to fight back.
I really appreciate you sort of, invoking that history, or that part of the history of the gay rights movement, the LGBTQ movement. In our first hour, we were talking with Dr. Jonathan E. Collins, who's an assistant professor of political science at Columbia University. We were reflecting on the legacy of George Floyd, the promises kept and promises unkept. And I think we can draw a direct line between some of those promises unkept following the barrage of commitments following the murder of George Floyd, and the promises unkept when it comes to the modern LGBTQ rights movement. Will you go ahead and connect those dots for us, if you will?
Well, in my mind, I think it's actually all sort of a pushback from Black Lives Matter. Everything we're seeing right now is a pushback against what we saw for one moment that was very short-lived, where a community was standing up for themselves on a national scale, international scale. And I think because these white folks got scared of having to share space and having to give some of the things that they hold for granted to other communities, now they're pushing back so hard because it's more than just an LGBT fight right now. And I think something that I've noticed recently is this legislation against trans women specifically. And this actually hurts Black women the most because of this thing called trans misogynoir and trans misogynoir, where oftentimes studs or masculine Black women are assumed to be trans. And I've seen videos circulating online of women going into the bathroom and getting kicked out by security. And these are cisgender women. These are women-born women. They're not trans. And I think what we're seeing now is this sort of governmental attack on people, and it's affecting our community as well.
Talk to us a little bit about this Black Life series that you've been working on. Some people call it one of the most powerful projects they've seen you do. It's called a Journey with Star. Amerisu, a self-curated variety show blending dystopian comedy, live music, and celebrity guest interviews. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I've been working on a show. I went viral in like December of last year with dystopian comedy sketches on Instagram, and it was circulating all over on Twitter, on Tumblr, and I was surprised at really where it went. And I decided to make my own show. I'm really inspired by the 70s. Carol Burnett, she had a show, and I feel like I wanted to make my version of the Carol Burnett show.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I'm doing. I'm actually right now, I'm in Palm Springs. I'm sitting and I'm writing. I am writing and I'm getting to work, honey, because it is important that I tell my story.
It is very important that you tell your story. And what I appreciate about your body of work is that you inject some levity into the story. There are a lot of stories that are quite tragic and quite heavy. And you don't shy away from illuminating those stories, but you also are very insistent on injecting levity into your work. Talk to us about how you balance the two.
Well, I think there's truth in jest, that saying, there's truth in jest. And I think that especially for people to digest things, sometimes making it a joke is easier to learn. Like when when I was in school, I remember mostly the teachers that made class fun, and that's are the lessons that I continue to carry with me as I move forward in my own life. And so as I make art, I'm thinking to myself, like, what do I find funny? And also, what are some things that I want to talk about? Like on my show, I was writing about recently the idea of sort of like a DL or down low man, and the idea of wanting to talk about that in a funny way, because it's something that a lot of our community has brushed up against. I watched Nene Leakes' YouTube show. I don't know if you've watched it. It's very good. But she had Tamar on the show, and Tamar was talking about how she's on PrEP. And Nene was like, oh, why are you on PrEP? Like, you don't need to be on PrEP. And she's like, no, like, I think it's important as a Black woman that I am on PrEP because we are sharing men with a large group of community, and I'm a part of this community by proxy. And I was like, you know what? Go ahead, Tamar.
I mean, she really changed the conversation. Major salute to Tamar Braxton, for disclosing that, for sharing that. And I think for a lot of people, shaking loose any shame that they might have in being on PrEP, because it's really fundamentally about taking control of our lives. Right? And there were generations of LGBTQ people that didn't have access to medications like PrEP that protect us from contracting HIV, right? It doesn't protect us from everything, right? And so don't get it twisted, leaders, learners, and listeners, but it does protect folks, I think like 99.9% protection from HIV. That is huge. That is huge, given the history of the fight against HIV/AIDS in our communities.
Yes. And it's interesting because right now Trump is trying to cut back on life-saving services for our community and for people getting tested in HIV and AIDS and STI testing across the nation. They're cutting a lot of this funding. I go to the LA LGBT Center, and we got an email from them talking about how they are losing some of their funding, but they're going to have to rely on their private donors and continue to offer services to people, even though they don't have the access to the funds.
I mean, isn't it a shame, considering how long and how hard we have been fighting for access to affordable, life-saving medications? And we have made so much progress over so many decades. And in one election, to have so much of that work potentially undone if private donors aren't able to fill in that gap, it is more than disappointing. Ms. Starr, talk to us about, how you are processing that part of what's happening.
Well, I think that as a person, I'm very resilient. And in these times, I've been really having to sit with myself and think about, what is it about my life that I love? And what is it about my life that I feel like I want to share with other people, and to let my community know like that even if we have gone through things, this is not the first time we've gone through something hard, and that we can continue on. I'm really into having intergenerational friendships. So I have some older queen friends, they're talking about experiences that I've never had, right? I had access to hormones at a young age. I have housing. I was able to do like housing programs for LGBT youth. I was able to get housing as a trans woman in San Francisco. These are things that didn't exist 20, 30 years ago. So I'm thinking to myself, like, you know what? There's so much messed up stuff happening, but we also have our community, and we have way more resources than we used to have still. And I'm just wanting to like keep drilling that into my friends. Like, we can survive this together if we really unite in our power.
I couldn't agree with you more. I oftentimes say that the surest way for us to get to the other side of whatever this is and whatever it's going to be is going to be in community.
Exactly.
It's going to be with one another, arms locked, right? I'm talking about the spirit of mutual aid and being able to show up for one another. And it's good to see that you are of like mind on that. When we come forward more with Miss Star Marisu, I want to talk about some of your work that folks are buzzing about. You are a multi-hyphenated artist, whether we're talking about you're being a DJ, you're being a composer, you're being a writer, you're being a director. I think it was the great Nina Simone and Toni Morrison that reminded us that it's moments like this when artists get to work. We're going to talk about your body of work when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
The audience is listening. Thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. South African President Ramaphosa is brushing off a tense moment from his visit to the White House earlier this month. During the visit, President Trump played a video that he claimed supported claims of genocide against white South Africans.
They're being executed, and they happen to be white, and most of them happen to be farmers. And that's a tough situation. I don't know how you explain that.
Ramaphosa said the video Trump showed bemused him and noted most crime victims in South Africa are Black, not white. Court is adjourned for the day in Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking trial. Capricorn Clark, Diddy's former assistant, testified he chased rapper Kid Cudi in a car after breaking into his home. And the Texas House is approving Senate Bill 12 to ban DEI initiatives in public school hiring and training. The bill strengthens parental consent for sex ed and family planning, mirroring the 2023 DEI ban in Texas universities. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Slowing in Pasadena, 210 eastbound leaving Mountain. Delays all the way to Citrus. Tough on the 5 southbound in Burbank. Leaving Olive, you're on the brakes ahead all the way to Lakewood Boulevard. It's the northbound side of the 5 in Commerce, coming up on the 710 where a car flipped over. Low on details from the Highway Patrol as to which lanes are blocked, but delays are definitely there. And it's all jammed up, getting away just before Garfield Avenue. The drive's also tough into the Cajon Pass, 15 northbound from Glen Helen Parkway all the way to the 138. And the southbound side of the 15, that loads up at the top of the turns, almost Oak Hill, as you continue back towards Cleghorn.
This report is sponsored by Cadillac of Beverly Hills.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
NBA sources claim LeBron is leaning towards returning to the Lakers for his 23rd NBA season. LeBron, who turns 41 in December, has until June 29th to decide on accepting a player option that will pay him $54 million next season. Sources are indicating that LeBron wants to talk with Lakers GM Rob Pelinka about his plans to improve the Lakers roster, especially the addition of a quality center. The Lakers were exposed in the middle during their first-round playoff elimination by Minnesota. They did not have a viable replacement at center after trading Anthony Davis to Dallas for Luka Doncic. LeBron wants to see how Pelinka handles this situation and other roster concerns before he agrees to come back. Stay tuned. The LA Sparks can reach 500 with a win tonight over the Atlanta Dream. The Sparks never got to 500 last season when they finished with the WNBA's worst record at 8-32. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates Pastor and Mrs. William Sachs Epps on their retirement from stewardship at the historic Second Baptist Church. Dr. Epps has faithfully served Second Baptist as its senior pastor for 37 years. What a legacy of love and leadership. Pastor and Mrs. Epps will be honored at a luncheon on Saturday, July 26, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Sheraton Universal Hotel in Universal City, and you're invited to attend. Noted scholar Dr. Michael Eric Dyson is the keynote speaker. For ticket information, please contact epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. That's epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. To Pastor Epps and First Lady Epps, congratulations from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has work source centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hit me!
National news of consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and she is Miss Star Amarasu. There we go.
We got it. Period.
We got it. Look, I'm gonna get somebody's name right. We're gonna get that right. Our thanks for you joining us here. For people who are unfamiliar, Miss Star is an international multidisciplinary Black trans artist. And just as we're entering Pride season, we thought it made a lot of sense to have Miss Star on to talk about her body of work. Now, Miss Star, there is a film that I saw, I think it was last summer at the Outfest film festival in Los Angeles. It might have been the summer before that, but it was called Kokomo City. And one of the things I appreciated about this film that got a lot of accolades on the film festival circuit is that it allowed Black trans women an opportunity to exercise their voice. There's a lot of direct-to-camera in Kokomo City. It was a documentary that focused on the lived experiences of Black trans women, particularly in Atlanta. And what I love is that so much of your work also picks up on that. We're not going through an expert to get a sense of what the lived experiences of trans folks, Black trans women, but we're hearing directly from them. Is this a growing movement in the arts? Should we expect to hear directly from more trans folks?
I think so. I think we're a part of the zeitgeist. I also think it's easier. Like Dominique who was in Kokomo City. She was, I think, a producer on that film. And I think it's like we're now in positions where we're able to produce our own stuff or be a part of telling our own stories more so than ever before, especially with access to how it's easier to make films now than it was maybe 20, 30 years ago. And I think that even me, myself, at that same Outfest that year that Kokomo City was playing, I had an art residency with Outfest, and they gave me like a micro grant, and I ended up making my first ever short film as well. And I think it's like there's more access, right? We're having more learning. I went to school for film last year. I just finished a program at San Francisco Film School, and I don't think that maybe even 10 years ago I would have thought about going back to school at 30, and I did. And I was so happy to learn these skills. And I feel like we're just able to have more conversations as trans people about really achieving our dreams. Interesting enough, Kokomo City is about sex work, a lot of it. And I'm not a sex worker anymore, but I had done it in the past. And I think also this is a conversation where now there's so many Black trans women who I know, like Black trans women, political commentators as well. Raquel Willis is one that comes to mind. I don't know if you know her.
Do I know her? Raquel, that's my sister friend. She has been a guest on this show a few times before. She's written a book, a best-selling book, and her mom, I don't know if she's still on there, but her mom for a long time served on the board of directors of PFLAG National. And so Raquel, has been really true to this work in a lot of ways. She and her family, it's a family affair.
Yeah, and even this year I was thinking about it. Tourmaline is a writer, and she came out with a book about Marsha P. Johnson. It's a biography. It's the first biography I've ever written about her, and that is coming out this year, or I think it just came out. I got a pre-copy, so don't quote me on the date if it came out already. I have a copy because I got it like that, but the book is coming out, and Marsha P. Johnson is such an important part of the conversation around Stonewall and the conversation around her organization STAR, which was started to support trans people in New York accessing services and housing and care. And I feel like right now, even though all of these crazy things are happening, I feel so lucky to be born in this era where I was able to go to school, I was able to have surgeries, I was able to get hormones, I was able to achieve all of these things that I know some of my foremothers were not able to access in such an easy way.
I want to come back to that in a second, but first, I want to just call attention to an independent film that you have been a part of that was also executive produced by Elliot Page. Talk to us about that film and where we can go to check it out.
Yeah, I made a short film. This was actually one of my school projects, but I guess I just slayed it so hard. It got into all these film festivals all around the world. Honestly, it's an international success. Thank you very much.
Okay, Ms. International.
Period. The girls have to do what we have to do. It's called After Hours. And I was wanting to talk about struggling with like addiction and being a Black trans woman and the power of sisterhood between trans women. It's a short film. It's about 6 minutes long. And it all happens in the club bathroom. And it's interesting because, we're having these conversations about trans women using the bathroom. And I just always think about being in the bathroom as a woman and like sisterhood and like the help that happens when you're in the club bathroom. Cis women, trans women, everybody's in the bathroom. They're like, let me help you touch up your makeup. Like, oh, can I borrow this? Or somebody's going through it in the bathroom. Somebody's like, let me help you up, sister. Like, that's what my mind goes to when I think of this conversation around the bathroom, is just like the help and support I've had going in the club, going to the club bathroom at the gay bar or other places, the camaraderie between women. And so I made a film about that.
Just on the topic of sisterhood,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think everyday people might miss in that conversation between the sisterhood, between cisgender women and trans women? Because, there are some that believe that, trans is very different. It's its own thing, right? And the idea that, well, we're all women, there are some people that reject that premise. Other people embrace it. Talk to us about what you have learned in your journey in terms of sisterhood, not just among other trans women, but with cisgender women.
I think that I have been uplifted a lot by cis women, and I try to do the same. And I think that what we're missing from the conversation is the fact that I'll say something that is maybe other people might disagree with, but all feminine people are policed under a patriarchal society. All feminine people, whether or not they were born with a vagina or not, if you're a feminine person in this world, you have been policed for your actions at some point. And I think that people don't realize that actually can bind us together, because there's so much power in femininity that is not really acknowledged. And I think that we have so much more in common than we do have differences. And right now, especially in a world where a white man can basically do or say anything that he wants, all other people should really be banding together to sort of say, like, this is messed up. I think when we have so much fighting against trans women and cis women, we sort of forget the fact that both of us at the end of the day are dealing with the same type of men who treat us badly. We're also dealing with having to fight for our rights, often for accessing healthcare, accessing, even in some places, it's like buying houses or getting housing. It's like women are discriminated against in a lot of ways and shapes and forms. And so I just think, for me, myself, I can only say that I want all of us to survive under capitalism and to band together, because it's really important that we realize that there's a power in femininity. And regardless of how someone is born, they can have feminine energy. I believe that. I don't.
Yeah. And part of what I'm hearing you say without saying explicitly is that, it's possible for even men to be included in that, because there are effeminate men out there who are also policed and also treated differently. And so thank you for putting it that way. Ms. Starr, in our remaining minutes, I have to mention to you the sort of, news that broke right before we went on air. The LA Times reporting that President Trump is threatening to strip federal funds to California over transgender youth athletes. President Trump threatened to cut federal funding to California if the state continues to allow trans athletes to compete in women's sports. He blasted Governor Gavin Newsom in an early morning post on Truth Social, saying that the state, under his leadership, continued to illegally allow men to play in women's sports. What do you make of this latest bark from the president when it comes to trans women in sports?
Well, I think the thing is that once you're on hormones and you don't really have a physical advantage, I think also we're talking about kids, right? Kids are kids, let kids play. I think the amount of children that are even that want to play sports is, I think there's less than 10 in America, like in the whole country, who are like involved in these sports. So I think it's sort of policing a really, really small percentage of people. There's probably like one kid maybe or two that are trying to play sports. And I think that it's really messed up to think that all over misinformation, people are really banding behind this, because they're in their mind, they're thinking like, oh, some man is going to like play with these other girls, but they're all kids. And also a lot of these children are just wanting to be included. like any kid wants to play. And I just feel like I feel so bad for them, especially because when I was young, we didn't have this national conversation around whether or not kids can play games with other kids or whether or not you're real or fake or whatever. That just that didn't exist. The conversation wasn't so national. So I feel really bad for young trans people who have to listen to news every day that basically says that they're messed up or something's wrong with them when there's nothing wrong with them. They are children and they deserve to grow up just like anybody else.
Ms. Starr, in our remaining minute, what's your critique of the LGBTQ movement? Has the movement gone too far with, pushing for, trans kids in sports at the expense of some of the basic issues around housing and healthcare and employment?
Well, I don't think it's the trans or the queer community that is the people that are pushing these things. It's the government that is making us and making these issues a scapegoat for not fixing all these other problems. Our community becomes something for people to step on because it's easier to band together against something that they feel is wrong versus actually addressing real problems that are affecting more people. They're talking about literally like less than 10 people in the whole country probably that are trying to stop from being involved in these things, where there's millions of us here that are struggling to make it ends meet, can't buy eggs. That conversation has been going on for so long. It's like, what are we doing here? We're really putting the community, it's not our fault that we have to stand up for ourselves. No, it's the government's fault for making us the issue instead of focusing on real issues that are affecting real people.
Ms. Starr Marisu, where can people go to follow you and to dial into your work?
Yes, my Instagram is at Star Amarasu. You can check me out on TikTok, star.amarasu. And I'm online. I have a website, star1234.info, with more info there.
Our thanks to Ms. Star Amarasu.
Thank you so much
for joining us right here on A More Perfect Union. You'll have to come back again soon.
Holla at me.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, tastemakers, and you, working to build a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. One last thing before we let you go. It's time for the quiet part out loud. And I saw this and had to share it with you. It's a new book that's examining child care policies across the globe. And they ask whether parenthood in the U.S. needs to be so hard. What do you think? All the parents out there. You know, some of us are still on our journey to parenthood. Not there yet. No big announcements to make today. But when I saw this article, it made me quite reflective. They talk about a woman named Abigail Leonard, who saw the news that the Trump administration was considering handing out $5,000 baby bonuses, $5,000 to new mothers, and she realized that she had already received one. A longtime international reporter, Leonard gave birth to 3 children while living in Japan, which offers, get this, a year of parental leave, publicly run daycare, and lump sum grants to new parents that amount to thousands of US dollars. But it was not until moving back to the U.S. in 2023 that Leonard grasped just how robust Japan's social safety net was for families in comparison to the paltry amount of support that she feels here in the U.S. Not only is the U.S. the only rich country on the planet without any form of national paid leave, but an uncomplicated birth covered by private insurance tends to cost families about $3,000. The federal government also spends a fraction of what most other wealthy countries spend on early education and childcare, as federally subsidized childcare is primarily available only to the lowest earners. Middle-class families are iced out. Look, I cannot believe how much middle-class families are having to pay for childcare. I have plenty of friends who have kids. I am the uncle of 10 nieces and nephews, and the amount that everyday people spend on childcare is wild to me. It's wild. In this article, again, published by The Guardian, Leonard traces the effects of policies and disparities like these in her new book, For Mothers, which follows the pregnancy and early child rearing experiences of 4 urban, middle-class women living in Japan, living in Kenya, living in Finland, and of course, right here in the United States. Published earlier this month, For Mothers provides a deeply personal window into how policy shapes parents' lives. And it's emerged as an increasingly right-wing U.S. Seems poised to embrace the ideological pronatalism and policies aimed at convincing people to have more kids. Pronatalism, if you're wondering what that is, it's a deeply controversial perspective, in no small part because critics say pronatalists are more concerned with pushing women to have kids than with ensuring women have the support required to raise them. And so as we think about all the work that we need to do to build a more perfect union, understand this is a part of the work. And you might want to check out this book. Again, it's called For Mothers. For Mothers. It's already out. Check it out. Again, it features women living in Japan and Kenya and Finland and the U.S., and it follows their pregnancy and early child rearing experiences. And so people, sometimes if you want to try and get a very human sense, apart from what the data says, if you want to get sort of a human interest perspective on like, well, how does inequality happen? How do these inequities happen? Like, where do they start? Books like this one, For Mothers, offers us some sense of where they start in comparison to mothers in different countries. And so we'll have to leave it there, but be sure to check that out. Look, remember, it's on all of us to do what we can from where we are with what we have, but by all means, do something. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. Big thanks to all of my guests on the show. Also, big thanks to the Village that helps us produce A More Perfect Union each and every day. I'm talking about people like our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, folks like our sound engineer, my brother Andy, to our producers, Faraji and Art, and of course, each and every one of you that tap in, including those of y'all that chime in on A More Perfect Union group chat on the YouTube. We appreciate you. We see you. And we're going to keep on keeping on with you in mind. You've been listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Do that.
That's Leo Terrell, the head of the Department of Justice Anti-Semitism Task Force, who is Black. R&B singer Jaheim was arrested in Fulton County, Georgia on 6 counts of animal cruelty for neglecting dogs. He faced similar charges